A 43-year-old mother of three disappeared from her home in Brookfield, a semi-rural suburb in Brisbane's western outskirts in Australia, during the early hours of April 20th, 2012. According to her husband, Jared Baden Clay, Allison had left home for a morning walk and never returned. At first, the explanation seemed plausible. Missing person investigations often begin with uncertainty. Sometimes people leave unexpectedly. Sometimes they become lost. Sometimes there are explanations that only emerge days later. But this case quickly felt different. Brookfield was known as a safe, family-oriented community. Residents described it as the kind of place where neighbors knew each other, children played freely, and serious crime was rare. Allison herself was well known throughout the area. She was a devoted mother, active in the community and deeply connected to her family. When news of her disappearance spread, concern grew rapidly. Police established a command post. Volunteers arrived in large numbers. Search teams examined creeks, parks, horse trails, and private properties. Residents searched their own land, hoping to find any clue that could help investigators understand what had happened. As days passed, Allison's parents became the public face of the search. Their emotional appeals resonated across Australia. Viewers watched as a family desperately pleaded for information about a woman they could not imagine abandoning her children. Yet, despite the scale of the operation, investigators faced a growing problem. There was no confirmed sighting of Allison after she supposedly left home. No witness could place her on the route she was believed to have taken. And despite extensive searches, nothing was being found. While search teams continued looking outward, detectives quietly began examining events much closer to home. Attention slowly shifted toward Allison's husband, not because police had publicly identified him as a suspect, but because certain details were beginning to stand out. Reporters covering the case noticed that Jared Baden Clay appeared largely absent from the search effort. Family members attended media appeals. Volunteers spent long hours searching. Allison's parents remained highly visible throughout the investigation. Jared did not. Several days after Allison disappeared, reporters finally managed to speak with him outside his parents' home. The interview was brief, but it generated significant discussion.
It was very unusual. I thought his eye contact was very strange. He didn't look at me. He kept kind of looking back and forth, looking to the ground.
Many people felt his demeanor was unusual. Crime reporters later described a lack of urgency and emotion that they would normally expect from someone whose spouse had recently vanished. The interview alone proved nothing, but then people noticed something else: scratches on his face. When questioned, Jared explained that the marks were caused while shaving.
I should clarify, I cut myself shaving this morning and everybody has said that looks suspicious.
Police documented the injuries, but investigators were already examining whether another explanation existed. Additional marks on his neck and chest also attracted attention. At one point, Jared suggested some of the injuries were caused by a caterpillar-related reaction. Investigators looked into the claim, but questions remained. Individually, these details meant very little. Collectively, they began creating doubt. As detectives dug deeper into the Baden Clays' lives, they uncovered information that significantly changed the direction of the investigation. The marriage was struggling. Jared had been involved in a long-running affair with a colleague named Tony McHugh. The relationship had reportedly begun years earlier. Allison eventually discovered it. The couple attended counseling. Attempts were made to repair the marriage, but the affair resumed. Investigators would later learn that tensions surrounding the relationship were escalating in the months leading up to Allison's disappearance. The image of a successful suburban family was beginning to crack. Then, 10 days after Allison vanished, the search came to a devastating end. A local man kayaking through Colo Creek noticed something along the creek bank. As he approached, he recognized the clothing. Police were called. The body was identified as Allison Baden Clay. The missing person investigation was officially transformed into a murder investigation. For Allison's family, the news was heartbreaking. For investigators, it marked the beginning of a much more focused inquiry. The discovery immediately raised important questions. How did Allison end up at Colo Creek? Had she traveled there herself? Or had someone transported her body after her death? To answer those questions, investigators turned to forensic evidence. One of the most important breakthroughs came from an unexpected source: botany. Forensic botanist Dr. Gordon Geimer was asked to examine plant material recovered from Allison's hair and clothing. Several leaf species were identified. At first, the findings seemed routine. But when Geimer surveyed the area around Colo Creek, something unusual emerged. Most of the plant species found in Allison's hair were not growing near the location where her body was discovered. Only a small number could be found there. The rest appeared to have originated elsewhere. The investigation then shifted to the Baden Clay family home. There, Geimer made a critical observation. All 6 plant species recovered from Allison's hair were present on the property. That finding carried enormous significance. Geimer expanded his analysis further. He examined the route between the house and Colo Creek. If Allison had walked that distance herself, investigators would expect to find additional plant material from locations along the route. But that evidence was absent. Investigators also examined Allison's vehicle. Inside, they discovered traces of blood. A troubled marriage, a long-running affair, financial difficulties, suspicious injuries, forensic evidence connecting Allison to the family home. Piece by piece, detectives believed they were uncovering what had really happened. 6 weeks after Allison's body was discovered, police made their move. Jared Baden Clay was taken in for questioning. News crews had gathered outside police headquarters. Then came the announcement many had been expecting. Jared Baden Clay was charged with the murder of his wife. The arrest marked a major turning point. But investigators still faced their biggest challenge: proving the case in court. The trial began in 2014. By then, police had spent 2 years investigating the case. During the proceedings, extracts from her diary were read to the jury. The entries revealed a woman struggling within a deeply troubled marriage. They painted a picture very different from the public image many people had associated with the Baden Clay family. Behind the appearance of stability were concerns about infidelity, emotional strain, self-worth, and the future of the relationship. For jurors, the diary entries proved valuable context. They offered insight into Allison's life during the months leading up to her death. Witnesses described the deterioration of the marriage. Experts explained the forensic findings. Investigators outlined the evidence collected throughout the case. After weeks of testimony, the matter was handed to the jury. 5 days later, a verdict was delivered. Guilty. Jared Baden Clay was convicted of murdering his wife and sentenced to life imprisonment. For Allison's family, the verdict brought a measure of relief, not closure, but accountability. Yet the legal process was not over. In 2015, an appeal court reviewed the conviction. The court ultimately determined that while Jared Baden Clay was responsible for Allison's death, there was insufficient evidence to prove beyond reasonable doubt that he intended to kill her. As a result, the murder conviction was reduced to manslaughter. Regardless of where people stood, one reality remained unchanged. 3 daughters had lost their mother. A family had been permanently altered. And a community continued to grapple with the consequences of a tragedy that had unfolded in its own backyard. The case highlighted the reality that domestic violence and abuse can exist behind the appearance of success, stability, and respectability. In the years following Allison's death, the Allison's Gift Foundation was established by family and friends to support young victims of crime. The organization became part of a broader effort to ensure that something meaningful emerged from an unimaginable loss. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more real crime stories and investigations. And if you think this case was shocking, wait until you see the next story. Click the video on your screen now, because sometimes the most disturbing crimes happen in the places people least expect.